Well, hello, friends, and happy Thursday to you. I hope that you're doing well. If you're joining me on the replay, happy replay day to you as well. We're live, and I'm excited to welcome you to today's live Level Up conversation.
Welcome to Level Up with Winnie Sun.
Hello, friends. It's so wonderful to welcome you here. And I want to start off. I see so many of you already live with us. I want to say a big shout out to my friend Brian Schumann on LinkedIn Live. Always a treat to have you here with us, my friend. I miss you. It's so great to see you. For those of you who are new, I am Winnie Sun, your host, Forbes contributor, CNBC council member, and award-winning financial pro, here to keep you on top of relevant trending business news. But, most importantly, we are live, and this is a live discussion, and that's what makes it so fun. And you're part of today's discussion. We're going to be sharing audience feedback during our community moment here, because today we have a very, very special guest, and he's someone that I got a chance to actually speak with backstage, and I think you're in for a real treat. He's someone you're definitely going to want to hear from. So get comfy. Make sure you have, your drink, your water bottle, wherever you're joining from. It's going to be a fun day. Let's start with the market. Let you know how it closed. Unfortunately, I wish it was sort of better news, but we have good days and we have bad days. And unfortunately, with the stock market today, it was kind of a bad day. The Dow closed down 500, whopping 26 points. That's right, down 526. NASDAQ, though, also down over 300 points today. Now, tech heavy, those of you who are invested in tech, I know you're not happy to hear about that, but unfortunately, that's what happened. The S&P also down 83 points today. Now, it was announced that inflation really was even worse than we expected. In fact, inflation increased by 7.5% on an annual basis, which is more than expected. And also, just to give you something to consider, highest level since 1982. Now, some of you may not even have been here since 1982, but let's just say things are getting so pricey that one of the big concerns that we're seeing reflected in today's financial markets is, what does that mean in terms of interest rates? Now, core inflation has rose 6%, which is also higher than expectations. And also, jobless claims came out today. 223,000 was the number, a little bit less than the 230,000, which was expected. This was as reported from CNBC today. But consumer prices have jumped more than expected for the past 12 months. Things are getting way more expensive. Now, to give you an idea, I wanted to do some deep dive on what this meant, like how much more expensive are some things, right? So, for example, if you were in the market for a new car or a new car for you, the increase in car prices on brand new cars is over 12% for the year. And believe it or not, over 40% over the past 12 months for used vehicles. Now, compare that also to food costs. Now, food costs have increased over 7% over the last year. Now, for those of you who are buying groceries for your household, maybe you've got kids at home like myself, you've definitely felt some sticker shock in the last few months and over the last year. But, I guess that's part of life. That's some of the things that we have to experience, and hopefully we'll get through it. But we saw a lot of that movement in the financial markets. Why we saw that pullback was also investors are concerned about uncertainty and what the Fed will be doing in terms of interest rate rises later this year. Now, being that the numbers seem to rise in terms of the cost of inflation, it's pretty much certain that the Fed is going to have to be pretty aggressive in making sure they can combat increasing inflation rates. So on that note, more to keep on our radar. But today, let me just tell you, you're going to really enjoy this. Today, I have a very special guest joining us today. Jeff Softley, President, Direct to Consumer with Experian Consumer Services. And, let's just say he might be a neighbor of mine too. So Jeff, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, Winnie, it's great to talk to you. Thank you so much for having me. And not quite your neighbor, but pretty close.
Pretty close, huh? I think it
Yes.
would be fun to be neighbors, but I think we're at least in the same time zone, and I think I could actually drive to you. So I figure, this is a treat because, as you know, especially in the past, we were always filming in New York. So thank you, Jeff, for being here. You've joined Jeff. Just so you know, Jeff joined Experian in April of 2005 and has led various teams, including corporate marketing and global e-commerce. So, Jeff, you definitely have a big job. So we want to start with just the basics. I know you've been experienced for some time now, but I'm really curious and I love to learn sort of your backstory. Can you talk about your background and where you were and how you got to the role that you have today?
Well, Winnie, thanks again for having me. It's a pleasure to talk to you, and I love the opportunity to not only talk about what's going on at Experian, but my career and how I ended up here. It's interesting. It's one of those things where if you think back about your career, you don't really realize how you would get here, but somehow you made it here, and it kind of makes sense when you look back. So I actually wanted to be in advertising. That was my dream ambition when I was growing up. I don't know if it was just the idea, the allure of working in a creative environment. It was my first job out of college. I went to school in Marquette. I actually got my degree in advertising, and my first job out of college was at an advertising agency. I thought it would be everything that I hoped it would. It was the worst job that I ever had. It clearly was not a great fit for me. I think I remember I was making $19,000. I was on the account team at a smaller agency, and I just felt like I didn't have access to the business. I was separated from the subject matter area that I was focused on, but I got to learn about a lot of different things. So it was really good from that perspective. I got to learn about online. I got to learn about e-commerce, and that's really where I decided to concentrate most of my work energy. So I had a few other jobs between the advertising agency role and landing at Experian. Financial services was not something that I think I was originally super excited about. But I am so glad that I landed at a company like Experian. I think one of the things that I feel so fortunate about is I've been able to use the skills that I developed around analytics, consumer behavior, advertising, and pair that with some really meaningful work. And if you ask me why have I been at Experian as long as I have, it's because we do really meaningful work. We help millions of consumers every single day with the products that we build. And for me, that is incredibly compelling and something that we're just gonna keep focusing on. So I think some of the career advice that I think about is be willing to go where your career takes you. Be open to opportunities that play to your skills and strengths. And even if you land in an interesting category that you didn't have any real interest in initially, I think you can find a home, particularly if you're working with people who have a similar mindset and mission and want to make a difference.
I love that. Thank you, Jeff. And it's interesting you said that, having a background in marketing and advertising and that financial services wasn't really on your radar. And I think some people, when they hear the company Experian, they think about their credit score, right? And
Yep.
sometimes I think sometimes you forget that, yes, in fact, it is a financial services company. And I'm with you there. Financial services wasn't really on my radar as well, right? We don't necessarily think of it being a lot of creativity in that role. So let's talk about like how you came about to joining Experian and um, what is it the difference that you felt that you wanted to make at the company?
Well, I think it's a good question. It's an interesting one. I think financial services credit. What is so exciting about what I get to wake up and do every single day is credit opens up opportunities for consumers. If you think about it in its most basic form, that's really what the world of credit is about. It's about allowing people to accomplish some of the most meaningful financial milestones in their lives. And I feel like we've got this amazing mission to provide financial power to all consumers through the products that we build at Experian, and we bring those to life every single day. And just to put it in context a little bit, Winnie, a good a good credit score could save you on average over the course of your life about $200,000. It has a big impact. And so if I think about other careers where, I might be in retail or, in advertising, you're selling widgets or, you're pushing product. I feel like, I get to help consumers achieve many of their life's ambitions through the things that we do each and every day.
Yeah, it's incredible. Saving over $200,000 in a lifetime is incredible. And I think we can all agree like that we could do quite a bit with that. And we've heard about the importance of having good credit. And, I've been using the Experian website for some time, and I love to be able to track my credit report and of course like what accounts I have. It's just very, very user friendly. Let's talk about this term. I just learned about this term called credit invisibles.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like what is a credit invisible? What is this? How big of an issue is this in the United States? And why should this be sort of on our radar?
Well, it's interesting. It's it's an interesting term. It's a little bit maybe inside the industry as a phrase, but it's a big problem. And there's about 30 million consumers in the U.S. who simply don't have a financial profile. That means that they don't exist or they're not visible to many lenders. And that's a really big problem. If you can think about going to get a loan, going to get a credit card, even renting an apartment, if there's not a profile that exists within the traditional financial ecosystem, it can make that process of getting the credit card you want very challenging, as an example. In fact, you could be declined and you may not understand how the process works. So being credit invisible is a big challenge. It's a big societal problem. We know that it affects underrepresented populations more. It affects younger consumers more. And so as one of our missions to help all consumers achieve their financial life ambition, we've created a product that allows you to go from being credit invisible to credit visible within about 4 minutes. We're really excited about it. 4 minutes. That's about the average time.
Okay, Jeff. Well, you and I both talked before we got on the air here. We both have kids, right?
Yeah.
So many children, or many, like you said, underprivileged families or households or individuals may not have credit. So you're telling me that my kids could go to being invisible to having credit visibility in 4 minutes? And if so, how does that work? How does this work?
Well, it's a free program. I know your kids are a little bit younger, Winnie, so there's never too young to get started, but you do need to be 18. It's interesting. Okay. My son just turned 18 a few months ago, and he actually used our new product. It's called Experian Go. Okay. And here's how it works. You basically download our free app. You input some basic information, your name, your address, your social security number. You take a picture of a driver's license and then a selfie so that we can confirm that you are who the person is on your driver's license. And you get a credit report created instantly. And so my son just turned 18. He did it. And the reason that this is so important, Winnie, is I don't know about you, but I think about my first financial product. I was on college campus. This was a long time ago. I know I'm dating myself. And they were handing out T-shirts, right? Water bottles. Yep. If I just took out a credit card. Yep. I did that. I used that credit card, and then a few months later, I realized I actually had to pay for it, which was a bit of a shocker. This new program that we've launched allows you to actually enter your financial journey with knowledge, with understanding, and in many instances with a really good credit score.
Very, very good. I love that. I'm with you. Like I remember being at UCLA on Bruin Walk and walking up the walk, and there were people handing out, giving out, if you signed up for your credit card, T-shirt or a mug or something really cute. And of course they got me. That was my first official credit card. And I've learned along through the ways, I'm a big points and miles person, and I understand the value of credit. And, and like you, I want to make sure that my kids and I know many of you are listening feel the same way, of being smart about building credit history and what that means. So have a program like this that's free and this accessible. That's nice to be able to start setting something up in 4 minutes. Age 18, I guess we still have a little bit of ways to go for my kids, but certainly for some of you who are listening, probably this is going to be a great opportunity. Let me ask you this, Jeff. So, when did this launch? How many people have done this already? And has there been anything surprising to this process that you've learned along the way?
Well, we just launched it about a week ago officially. We've been piloting it for a few months. So far, we've had more than 20,000 consumers sign up for the program, instantly create their credit reports for free through Experian Go. And what we're really excited about is it connects consumers also to Experian Boost, which is a product we launched a few years ago that allows you to get credit for positive payment history that you've been making that you may not be getting credit for today. So paying things like your cell phone bill or even like your Netflix streaming bill, you can actually add that positive payment history directly into your new credit report through the platform. And we're seeing that about 90% of consumers who create a credit report instantly are getting their first FICO score within a few minutes. And it's a good credit score. Their average credit score is 665, which is a really good place to start. And if you think about that and compare that to the journey that you and I went through, Winnie, where we, applied for a credit card, not really even knowing if we had a financial history or track record, this allows a consumer to go apply for a product knowing that they've got a good credit score and a really good chance at getting approved, which is really important.
Which is very important. You're absolutely right, Jeff. I think we can all relate to that when you apply for your first credit card or a new banking product, like you said, or if you're looking to buy a new car, right? And that question of how is your credit, and having the confidence of knowing my credit's going to be just fine. I'll be able to qualify for that new apartment that I'm looking to rent. That gives you a lot of stability and confidence going into that transaction. So it's nice to be able to introduce them to something online where they can actually, print out and track. And like you said, then there's one thing I thought that works well in this situation is a lot of these websites such as Experian will then match you up with products that they feel are a good fit for you, giving you choice. Right? Doesn't mean you have to jump on it, but it tells you what you could probably get. I think saves a lot of time.
Absolutely. We are all about empowering the consumer, and nobody likes to walk into an unknown situation, not knowing if they're going to get approved, not knowing what rates they're going to get, or even if they have access to a financial product. And so one of the things that we like to talk about within our business is our mission to provide financial power to all consumers. And we do that through making connections of consumers who are eligible and approved for certain products. We'll connect them to what we think is the best product available for them. And we believe the consumer should be in control of that process. They should be transparency around the process. And we want to make it as streamlined, as simple as possible through our platform.
That's great. That's great. Let me ask you this. How big of a population do you think currently doesn't have a credit score? Do you have those numbers?
Sure. So there's about 30 million consumers who are credit invisible. There's another 20 million consumers who don't have credit scores. So all in all, you're looking at about 50 million consumers without credit scores. It's a big problem. We wanted to help address this problem a few years back when we launched Experian Boost, and the reception of that product has just been amazing. We've had about 10 million consumers use that platform. Again, it allows you to share positive payment history that you've made through your bank to again, your utility payments or any other kind of eligible payment of that type. And we've actually added more than 70 million total points to consumers' FICO scores in the last 3 years instantly. So the very cool thing about the platform is you can go from having a starter credit score, not knowing where you're at, to actually advancing it and improving it in just a matter of a few steps. And I also use that product. I was able to go from the credit tier of good credit to very good credit by simply adding some of the payment history that I'd already been making. So it was a complete no-brainer for me. And again, when you think about how lenders evaluate risk, they're looking at these credit score bands and determining what your eligibility is, what interest rates you'll pay. And so you can really save a lot of money by simply improving your credit.
Simply improving credit. I love that. And as you know, not everybody utilizes and has credit history like a typical consumer, right? Not everybody uses credit cards. Not everybody has a mortgage or has a car loan. There's still a big population that likes to pay for things, whether via check or debit or whatnot. So it's great, that credit boost. I know I've done some research on that for my own community, and it's really, really, I think it's a really good direction to be able to encompass more people and give more quality to credit score as well, Jeff. So that's great. Talk a little bit about this. I was really interested to learn what Experian is now doing auto insurance. Is that right?
Yeah. So if you think about Experian as a credit bureau, you're missing the bigger picture around how we can actually help consumers. And our whole ambition is to push the boundaries of how we can help save consumers time and money. And insurance is a really confusing category, right? I don't know about you, Winnie, but if you think about like how you picked out your insurance, how you made that decision, how do you even know if you have the right coverage? It's confusing. And we recently purchased a company and have brought it into the Experian portfolio. It's an amazing technology. It actually allows you to use your current insurance policy to shop for savings. And the average consumer is saving about $900 a year by using the platform. You never have to talk to anybody if you don't want to. You're not going to get hit with phone calls you didn't want. It puts you in control and allows you to find the right coverage through a really interesting technology capability. And we're just really excited to get it in the hands of millions of consumers.
So where can we find this? We go to Experian website to take a look at it. I'm definitely going to check this out for because I do feel like I pay too much in auto insurance.
You probably do. You probably do pay too much. And, it's been interesting. If you think about your driving behavior in COVID, you're probably not driving anywhere near as much as you were even before COVID. So you just simply go to Experian.com or download our free app and you can get access to a whole multitude of different products and tools to help you save money.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, so I got to ask you, we definitely want to find out what are some tips. Oftentimes people will say like, oh goodness, I don't want to apply for this credit card. It'll pull my score down, or, I got to make sure I pay all this. And if once I get my student loans paid off, then my credit score will improve. And I don't want to open another credit card before I apply, to, either for that new apartment or for my mortgage. What advice would you give to those who are concerned about their own credit, and if they want to proactively manage it for the future? Give us your advice, and what would you tell your kids?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, credit can seem scary, and we know that. And so I think most importantly, it's so critical just to stay on top of where you're at, which is why we provide millions of free credit reports and FICO scores to consumers every single day through Experian. So I would encourage you to check your credit regularly, stay on top of it. You definitely want to keep an eye on it. The most important thing when you think about credit is just keep paying, making your payments. It really is so important to have to stay on top of your bills and to make the payments consistently and regularly. If you have problems making payments, it's really helpful to reach out to lenders and to develop plans and accommodations directly with lenders. That's a really important step that many consumers might not think about taking. but it can really help you out if you get into a situation where you're having a hard time paying your bills. And then, many people think that, if you want to close a credit card, you actually do want to close it. It's actually better to keep it open. Your credit utilization, even if you're not using it, is an influence and factor in your credit score. And it may seem counterintuitive, but you want to keep those accounts open, even if you're not using them, because it'll make your credit utilization even lower, which is a big factor also in your credit score.
How interesting. So if you heard that, I think that's what a lot of people were like, really? And I've had these conversations about that too. So if you open a credit card, even if you're not using it, providing it has no annual fee, you probably want to make it what we call a sock drawer card. So you can just leave it in a sock drawer, or you can cut it up and freeze it, but you don't want to close the account. The other thing I learned too is if you have a credit card that does have an annual fee, you can certainly call the credit card company or your lender and ask them if there is a no fee option that you can product change or switch over, so they can still keep your overall larger line of available credit, but your utilization, what Jeff talked about, is key. So if you're using a small amount of a very large pool, then your utilization is seen as favorable. Versus if you start decreasing the size of your swimming pool and you're still using the same amount, well, then all of a sudden your percentage of usage is higher, which could be seen as a negative risk for a credit, reviewer. Is that correct, Jeff?
Winnie, I think that you could have a job at Experian any day. It was very, very well explained, and it can be complicated, but you did a great job explaining.
Well, goodness, thank goodness I have a backup job now, Jeff. I'll have to put you on speed dial. But I love that. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think it's really important. I think it's a very important topic too. And I want to highlight what you had said earlier too, which is if you have problems and you're finding yourself sort of, not able to make those payments and you're feeling a little underwater, don't be overwhelmed. The first thing you want to do is sit down, stay calm, and reach out to the various financial companies and let them know, hey, I'm having trouble making this payment. Maybe it's because, there was a delay in my job, maybe because of health reasons or whatnot. But it's really important to be transparent and have those sort of active conversations, like Jeff said. Someone asked me, well, should I be calling Experian and TransUnion and let them know that I'm having financial problems so that they don't ding my credit score? What do you say to that, Jeff?
Yeah, I think you said it well, Winnie. It's actually the best approach is to reach out to the financial institution that you have a relationship with, work out a plan with them that'll affect what information they share and the standing that they report to the credit bureau. So that's definitely the right direction of travel, right area to focus.
Okay, wonderful. All right, I love that. Well, anything else that you're working on that we should be paying attention to? Because all of us, sharing is caring. We want to make sure that our community obviously has good credit and is making the smart decisions for themselves.
Well, we have several other products in development that are very similar to Experian Go and Experian Boost. They're all directly focused at how we deliver financial inclusion to the millions of consumers who can benefit from that. Can't talk about them just yet, Winnie, but they are in development. We think it's so core to our purpose and mission at Experian to provide. It's what. And we're just excited to be on the journey and excited to get the word out. So thank you for helping us share.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Well, I see my good friend Brian Schumann is on LinkedIn Live, and he is reminding us that it's time for speed round. So let's get started. Okay, so speed round is, as you know, a really fun segment that we share here. And if that means that we give Jeff, about a minute or so to answer 2 questions. So Jeff, are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, we're putting you on the hot seat now. Wait, 2 good questions. I think you're going to like this. The first question, Jeff, is this. We would like to know, what was the best career advice that you've ever learned or were given?
Oh, that's a good one, Winnie. It's interesting. I think that the best advice I got was I had struggled at a few points in my career where I didn't enjoy what I was doing. And I think sometimes other people can see that easier than you can see it when you're in the middle of it. And I had somebody pull me aside and they said to me, I don't think that you love what you're doing. I think that you're just trying to power through it. I think that that's an amazing thing for you to do, but I think that if you can find something that you love, you will be even more successful at that thing that you love. So I have kept that advice close at heart. I think you find something that you love to do, because careers are demanding. The work-life balance is so hard to get right, and if you can find something that you love, you're gonna get a lot of success in your career.
I love that. All right. Do what you love. Find something that actually drives you passion and makes you happy. So I love that. I think we can really relate to that, especially those of us who've gone, all of us that have gone through the last couple of years of this pandemic. Joy is such an important piece of life. And money is just a tool to get us from point A to point B, but it's really the memories and, most important, the relationships we make along the way that really matter. I love that, Jeff. Thank you so much. All right, Jeff, next question. I want you to share with us one thing that we would never know about you.
Oh, Winnie. Well, I think I am a self-professed germaphobe. So that was I was the hit the elevator with your elbow button way before that was even cool. And I feel like that prepared me so well for COVID that I didn't even really get that. I didn't get that concerned. I felt like I had my protocol in hand and I was ready to go. But I was definitely the germaphobe in the group. And I don't think I really told a lot of people that. And of course now I'm telling thousands of people. So that's my confession, Winnie.
That's your confession. You know what? We embrace you, Jeff. And I always think that makes you even more successful at what you did, because you're like assessing risk at all times, right? Of like the issue of term. As a mother of children, I will say I'm in that camp as well. And I know many of you who are listening and watching feel this way as well. I think it's fair to say, Jeff, that after the last 2 years, many of us are going to join your camp, because I think we're totally okay with that. And I think Howie Mandel's been very successful in including that in his brand, right? Brian Schumann is really enjoying this. Thank you so much, Jeff. Where can people follow, and where you direct them to learn more about what we talked about today?
Listen, I think go to Experian.com/go if you want to learn about our product that allows you to move from being credit invisible to credit visible. Sign up, it's free, and we can't wait to help you in your financial journey.
Thank you, Jeff. Well, that's awesome. That talks about getting your credit going. Then you can go to Credit Go, Experian Go. That sounds great. I love that. And thank you so much for my friends. I want to say I see Vicky joining us on Facebook Live. It's wonderful to have you. I see Robin Stevens also. I see Brian Schumann. I see so many of you on all different platforms. Thank you so much for supporting and being here. And of course, if you have any questions or any interests or follow-up things that I didn't ask that you would really love to learn from Jeff, feel free to send me a direct message. Always happy to hear from you. And of course, I want to definitely say what Jeff said. Make sure that you're following your happiness and you're really getting inspiration from each and every day. Please take a moment to share the show with someone that you care about. Thanks so much for watching, supporting us. And as a reminder, you can find full episodes of Love Up with Winnie Sun on the CW San Francisco, NASDAQ, Amazon Fire, and Roku. Be well, and I can't wait to see you again tomorrow. Take care now, my friends.